How you doing, guys? These two machines here, the horizontal bandsawing machines from Macc. You have a special 335 MS machine, which is over here, and a special 335 CSO. Now the differences between the two machines is this is a gravity fed machine with manual clamping through this 3-prong handle. This is a double mitre machine. The same applies to both machines. They're of the same family, the 335. One is semi-automatic with a hydraulic lower and lift and a hydraulic vise. And as I said before, this one has a manual vise and a manual lift on the bow. Both machines using this lever here with a mitre. Once you've released the handle, you can run the bow from left to right. With the vise here, you have a manual slide and then close up to the material. Once you've closed up to the material on this particular machine and you've locked off your handle at the desired angle, which you'll have a mitre reader here with all the degrees. Once you've applied that, you have a simple system here. So CSO would be a gravity fed position, and M, you can use the trigger handle on the top of the bow. Main isolator on, blade speed on, coolant on or off, on. CSO, you set the regulator to 0 and you press the start button. Once you've pressed the start button, what this will do is it will action the motor for the blade to run and also the coolant pump. And then you use this knob and rotate this to allow you to control the descent through the material. Once the cut is made and the bow achieves its bottom point here, you will manually lift the bow from the handle on the side of the machine. By mitering and changing mitering on both machines, you can move the mitre from left to right. So this machine, you can mitre to the left and also to the right. Now you might say that this may be in the way, but what you have is a lever on the bottom of the vise here. You can then slide the vise to the right, lock off the handle and rotate the bow to the left hand side. As I say, this applies to both machines, 335 MS and this one being the CSO. Simple and easy to use. As I say, this is the manual version, gravity fed manual lift machine. And then you come over to this machine, which is slightly different. As you can see, both machines are the same, but you have a different cylinder on this particular machine, and also you have a hydraulic clamp for the vise. The principle of this works exactly the same, so you have a quick action lever here to change your positioning from small material to large material, and you can also winding to the material here. Once you've clamped the material on this particular machine, you will clamp and then back off slightly so you have clearance so you can move the material. Same applies to the mitering, it's left and right. And when you come down to the control panel, you have similar regulator for your descent. You have a reset button when initially starting the machine, a start button, a coolant button, and a memory button. The memory button is for finding the bottom point of the blade. So when you lower the blade using the arrow here, the blade position will come down to a particular point of your desire, and then you press and hold the memory button for 10 seconds. This light will then flash at you 3 times. That allocates a bottom position. Then you raise the bow just above the material, so the blade height is just above the material on here. And then you have, once again, a 2-speed switch for your blade speed, emergency stop, and then main isolator. You also have on this particular machine a little small screen here, which is a piece counter. So every time that the blade comes down, goes up, it counts 1 piece. Also gives you error codes on this particular machine as well. So let's say you've changed the blade and you've not closed the cover, or the tension is not up enough, sufficient enough to obviously bring the blade into tension. It will run an error code on this display, and then you can obviously pinpoint the point of where you need to adjust, such as making sure that this guard is closed, the tension is tight, etc., etc. When you press the start button on this particular machine, you press the start button, the vise will close. Once the vise is closed, the bow is ready to run its descent through the cut of the blade. So you can regulate this descent using this here. Once the blade comes to the bottom of the stroke and it reaches that memory point that we've placed just before, it will then get to this point and the bow automatically will raise to the top position just above the material where you place the blade prior to pressing the start button. At that point, when the blade has reached its top position, the vise will open. As I say, both machines are exactly the same in its entirety, other than this area here on an MS is hydraulic, and this area on this is manual. All machines come with a catchment area on the back of the machine, which will allow all of the swarf and the coolant to remain in the back of the machine. It will run through this inclined table into the back, catch all of the swarf, and then recirculate the coolant back through to the front and back point of the blade. So obviously this is the entry point of where the blade is running through the material, and this is the exit point. So this will be washing the swarf away as it's returning back to re-enter into the cut again. You have this plug here, so what this does is this will give you allocated positions within the bed with adjustment, so that when it hits this point here, it will give you 90 degrees. When you take the plug away, you can then rotate and manual mitre to the left-hand side, and there is a position on the other side for a 45. Place the plug, bring that back, lock the handle, and you're ready to cut. Both trays at the back of each machine has a swarf tray. So this particular machine, the tray will actually lift out so you can remove all the swarf, and this gauze area here will allow the coolant to run back into the tank and recirculate through the electrical coolant pump, which is on the underside, back through these areas here. You can regulate the flow using these two taps, this one here and this one here, and then on this arm here you can increase your distance between guides. It's always good to get this guide that's movable as close to the material as possible so there's no deflection within the blade. It gives you a nice, true, clean cut. Just lock off with that handle. The range you also get this system here will be fixed into this hole on the side of the casting, and this will give you a physical end stop. So what you can do is you can run your material through to this stop. On the gauge here it gives you a measure. On this stop, once you've pressed the button, the clamp will close, the blade will come down, the blade will go up, and the vise will open. Once that's opened, you take the piece that you've cut, move your material through to this end stop system again, press the button, the clamp will close, and follow the same cycle.